Greetings, friends. As we fall continuously into a technocratic, dystopian, totalitarian society, some of us try to offer the consolation that, these masses, these NPCs, they will wake up once it's too late. Then they'll realize that they were wrong. And some of them will feel remorse for wondering why they ever let this happen. Like ex-KGB agent Yuri Bezmenov talking about how these people will never wake up until there's literally a boot kicking them in the face, sort of like George Orwell would have described. But I'm skeptical. Like, yeah, some of them, but I mean, they're already mentally broken, so. What do you expect? You said now they're going to have just physical pain is somehow going to lead to an intellectual and spiritual awakening. I mean, maybe, but I don't see how it necessarily follows that they've been now they're subjected to real suffering. Now they're going to learn, maybe, but I don't see why that would be a necessary conclusion. I'm fairly confident that most of them will never come to that realization, and let alone feeling remorse. Now, some of them will, small number though. We're going to see continued polarization, and the masses, just look at them. Look at them spiritually, intellectually, physically, look at their physiognomy. Are these people that are going to wake up? Now, I'm not trying to say you can judge everyone. You shouldn't judge people based on certain, but you can get a sense for how the average person is spiritually, and it's no wonder that they are so dominated. This is so scary. This is such a black pill, I guess, that even among freedom lovers, it's very difficult to look at how bleak the situation is for the common human. They're not going to ever realize, why would they? Because to my knowledge, and that never happened during the Soviet Union. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not so great on 20th century Russian history. I recall that the uprisings were more of nationalist things, like there was the Hungarian uprising. Later there was Solidarity in Poland. So there were these nationalist tensions with the Russians. I mean, other groups against the Russians. But I mean, even though the Bolsheviks did all these terrible things, and obviously that would have woken up a lot of people, like, the reason I'm questioning whether they woke up is because we know that, like, up until right before the Soviet Union collapsed, the average person recognized that there were problems, but they still believed in the basic assumptions, the basic worldview of communism. And they couldn't conceive of any other way of doing things. They couldn't conceive of that. Right up until the eve and during the actual collapse of the Soviet Union. So why would we expect people now to be any better? We've already seen that these people are broken. We saw that with 2020 vision. That was the whole point of 2020, or one of the points. We saw that clearly. These people have no line in the sand. And if you ask them what line in the sand they have, and they do, maybe they will tell you something. I don't know if they've entertained that question, but even if they do tell you, you can't take them that seriously. They have been conditioned, and therefore they will do what they are told. That is the essence of doublethink. Doublethink means believing whatever you are told by the authorities and changing on a whim what you believe. So you maintain contradictions in your thinking, you maintain cognitive dissonance as best you can. We saw that already in 2020. There's no reason to think that's going to change. We're going to get more people on our side, but we're always going to be vastly outnumbered. The doublethink is maintained by rolling waves of terror and calm. I don't know if you could really call it calm. It's not exactly calm, relative calm to the waves, And these are Bolshevik tactics. Now, I don't view everything as like the enemy is just communism. It's a bit much deeper than that. But obviously, the Bolsheviks and communism was evil. The point about these rolling waves of terror is that they soften up the resistance of the masses to not go along so easily with what they're told to do. It just breaks them up, and then together with being isolated, especially cut off from their regular friends and family and social relations, that allows the medium of media via internet or television or whatever it is to have more access to their mind, to keep them in that psychosis, a mass psychosis event. So that this has precedent in history. But the technology is so sophisticated now that the mass psychosis that can be produced is on an unprecedented level. And we've actually been living in an information war. Sorry if this is a bit of a tangent to the video, but it ties in with this mass psychosis that we're living in some ways of the third information war of, at least in my lifetime. Like there's always been information wars, but in my lifetime, the first one, I mean, there's always, in some sense, there's always a constant information war coming from the corporate media, coming from government, coming from these big institutions. But we do recognize that there were flare-ups, especially beginning with the first one in the 2003 invasion of Iraq, or the prior to it, the build-up, where all the American corporate media suddenly went pro-war. It was really something to behold. They all, in unison, almost all of them in unison cheered the war, and they were feeding these crazy stories about weapons of mass destruction and all that. Well, the state and the media together cooperating to drum up this support for a war, which was based on another huge media phenomenon, which was 9/11, and it was used in a particular way. Brings about the Patriot Act, brings about these wars in the Middle East. So, anyways, constant media assault, like for less than a year, and then once Americans start coming home in body bags, that kind of dies down. That first information war died down. Second information war lasted about 4.5 years from the time that Donald Trump, announced that he was running for presidency. He had to compete with the other Republican candidates. So around that time, the media went full on anti-Trump mode, and that just continued nonstop for 4 years. So it was very long. I mean, obviously they must have dialed it down a little at times, but not really. It was a constant information war assault, and that just bled into the current the current medical issue that I'm not really permitted to talk about on YouTube, because you basically can't talk about that. But basically, that information war under Trump bled right into, because it overlapped with our current situation, and that's just been going full strong ever since. So it's just constant information war, the third information war, at least of recent times, on an entirely new level. So I know this video was kind of not exactly the most together. I was sort of going off on different tangents there, but I don't think you can have the satisfaction of thinking that all these people are going to realize that they're wrong. I mean, it essentially ties in with what hell is, because it's simplistic to say that God throws people into hell. Like, oh, you did the bad thing, you displeased me, I'm going to throw you into hell. It's more that people actually choose to remain in hell by turning away from the truth, which is objective. There is an objective truth. And if you turn away from that, then you're inevitably putting yourself into hell. And actually, hell begins in this life, in that sense, and continues after death. In my understanding, they don't actually wake up. A lot of people will never wake up. And that can be extremely, pessimistic or frightening. I mean, it shouldn't be, but just look at the average person on the street. Look at the people we're dealing with here. Hasta luego, amigos.